This poem is called The Farewell Glacier, and I've written it for Cape Farewell and all who sail in her. We've sailed across a sea of chrome and mercury, and time slowed down to next to nothing. We've travelled across waters like quicksilver, borrowed from the back of a mirror. There's no signpost and no car park. We can't stroll hand in hand past a dancing bear or an ice cream kiosk. There's no guardrail or warning sign, no official sponsorship by an international energy company, and no souvenir concession selling postcards of glacial blue and glacial blue t-shirts. There's no hawker crying, "Ladies and gentlemen." There's no grand circle and no red velvet curtain drawn to gasps of astonishment and a standing ovation. There is no fanfare and no drum roll. There is only silence and the static left over in your head. This fabled giant is 10,000 years old. It survives between mountains it has fashioned with its own uncountable tiny hands to show what it can do, given all the time in the world. I don't know what else to tell you. What is it like? That's a difficult question. You might think of a high-rise megacity, of ice-filled penthouses, snow-stocked apartment towers and locked ziggurats, or a cathedral facade, an unfinished work forever in progress, or the Snow Queen's derelict mansion, eroded dynasties of peeling white wallpaper in empty ballrooms lit by chandeliers of ice, dados and cornices broken off, and zigzags where stairs once led to attic rooms where time froze to death. Or perhaps a cold library of snow, where every winter's tale is a long-lost folio of white pages on unnumbered shelves of ice in the crowded stacks, balanced on stacks, receding infinitely back through the centuries. Here you might browse the works of our time, and here are some of the titles. A Brief History of Smoke, The Car Factories of Dagenham and Detroit. A catalogue raisonné of 19th century smog from the Midlands potteries making china services for special occasions. Heavy Metals, the inside story of the Cold War's favourite band. The collected vapour trails of 1999. And a thin sheet of pure grey registering the shadow fall of Hiroshima. Maybe Shakespeare's winter fairs, when the Thames froze over, are recorded somewhere here, and Bruegel's hunters are just returning home in the last of the light. Maybe there's a thin black line where ancient cities burned down to ash. But some of it is filthy and derelict, like the shanties of a privileged city, the charnel house next the palace, carried along reluctantly to do the dirty work. Remember how we stood and stared face to face with the ancient beast, waiting for the thunderbolts that cracked deep in its blue heart, and hoping for the satisfying, frightening finale, the minor apocalypse of towers of ice, going, which did not happen. But once the sea drew in a different breath and held it, and then a single wave ran all along the shoreline, like a cardiograph registering the result of a slow war fought for 100 centuries deep in the ice, and now lost to the advancing forces of heat and light. So when we sail away across the inches of the sea charts, what do we think we've seen through the cruel little eyes of our cameras and binoculars, framing and clicking and failing to capture the beauty of the beast? Will we confess to the warm breaths and tiny cries which issued from our mouths? Will we remember what we wished for? Have we come to our senses? Like acolytes who've seen the extinction of the future in a bad dream, can we return with a story or a song that will save us just in time? And what will we say of this dying monster in its last lair when we are home again? Will we understand at last what we tried and failed to make out in the infinite fractures of its great, blind, archaic mirror of lost time was only ourselves? Can we see now we've lived like gods on borrowed time? And when we return to the immediate moments of our illuminated cities and warm living rooms, how will we recall this frozen auditorium and its oracular silence and the last long performance of its disappearing act?